Hello friends, welcome to Mysterious Stories. Friends, this is a true story. In 2003, a case involving a family's abduction shocked England. The family's name was Chauhan. This film discusses a rare and tragic case. The story is set in Hounslow, a town in England. There resided an Indian family, including Amarjeet Chauhan, his wife Nancy Chauhan, and two kids. Amarjeet operated an export company called Seba Roy. He lived a pleasant life with his family. On February 13, 2003, Amarjeet went to work as normal, but did not return home that evening. His wife, Nancy, attempted to call him numerous times, but his phone rang without an answer. Nancy then called his office, where she learned some disturbing information. According to the office workers, Amarjeet had unexpectedly traveled to the Netherlands for a business conference. Nancy found this surprising because she knew Amarjeet had not accepted citizenship in England and that his passport was with the student government. Without his passport, how could he have left the country? Nancy became quite concerned and called her brother, Omkar, who was in New Delhi, India. The following day, February 14, 2003, something more odd occurred. Kenneth came forward and said that Amarjeet had transferred ownership of his company to him. Kenneth submitted legal documentation, and despite his suspicious demeanor, the management of Amarjeet's company certified that the paperwork was real. The police were also notified, and after scrutinizing the documents, they determined them to be authentic. What was puzzling was that Amarjeet had vanished overnight without a trace. Omkar attempted to call his sister Nancy several times over the next few days, but her phone number was no longer working. Kenneth, who had taken over the company, informed the authorities that Nancy, her mother, and two children had traveled to India. Omkar was shocked since this seemed impossible. He knew his family would not go for India without alerting him. He became even more concerned. After a few days, Omkar decided to travel to England from New Delhi. When he spoke with the police, he made it apparent that his family could not have traveled to India without alerting him. The police began to believe that something was really wrong. When they entered the Chohan family's home, they discovered an unusual scenario. There was food on the table and clothes in the washing machine, indicating that the family fled quickly or was forced to leave. This led the police to believe that Nancy and her family had not been to India. 3 months later, on April 20, 2003, a dead body was discovered in the sea near Hounslow. The body was later recognized as that of Amarjeet Chauhan. The authorities started to suspect Kenneth, the man who claimed to have taken over Amarjeet's company. They discovered Kenneth had a criminal record and was involved in narcotics trafficking. Despite this, Kenneth maintained that he had legitimately bought the company from Amarjeet. However, the truth was discovered after the authorities received a tip from a woman named Belinda Bygon. She claimed Kenneth was a friend and that on April 19, she noticed him excavating at her property. Despite her initial anger, Kenneth assured her that nothing was amiss. When Belinda informed the police about this, they were suspicious of Kenneth. Under police pressure, Kenneth eventually confessed to the crime. He claimed that Amarjeet had employed him as a delivery boy, and Kenneth eventually discovered that Amarjeet intended to sell his business. Kenneth then created a strategy to take over the business. He duped Amarjeet into meeting him at his home, where he and some associates tortured him and forced him to sign over the company. They then killed Amarjeet. Kenneth also terrified that Nancy Chauhan would expose him, so he murdered her, her two children, and her mother. He buried their remains in Belinda's unoccupied farmhouse. Belinda noticed Kenneth digging to hide the dead. Kenneth and his associates later discarded the bodies in the water. This astonishing revelation about the Chauhan family caused a massive stir in England. The cops were able to piece together the reality and capture Kenneth and his accomplices.